we know that proximity is either power or poison, and that if you want to level up in life, you need to level up your network, the people that you're hanging out with, because you are the average of the 5 people you associate with. But here's the problem. When you're first starting off on your journey and you're dead broke, you're like, how do I get around those people who have the skills, the resources, the money? Like they are the people that I want to be around, but they don't want to be around me, right? So how do I get into those rooms? And I was thinking about this because there's an interesting paradox of help. I was talking to a gentleman the other day whose business is a perfect example of a business that I can help grow with coaching and consulting. Like I look at it, I'm like, I know exactly what you need to do to solve this cash flow problem in the next 60 days. You're going to be tripling within the next year. It's going to be incredible. But his feedback to me, he says, I can't afford your help right now. And the interesting thing is, I said, by the time you can afford my help, you won't need it. Think about that. If you could afford the help at the level that you're at currently, you wouldn't need it. And so you have to get used to the idea that the lifesaver is most useful when your head is underwater. And so you won't feel ready. You won't feel like it's within your reach, right? But that's when you need the help the most. So the person who can help you get to that next level can't be bought at the prices that you're accustomed to at your current level. So think about that. Now, okay, how does this tie into how do we get around those people, those that can help us level up in life? Now, here's what I did. In the beginning, just understand that when we talk about your network being the average of or your capacity being the average of the 5 people you associate with, this doesn't necessarily mean who you physically are in proximity to on a day-to-day basis. I spend more time with my virtual mentors than I do with anybody else in my life. I'm reading books about Charlie Munger, about Naval Ravikant, about Benjamin Franklin, right? I'm reading about these people. And as I'm reading their biography, I'm spending 10, 20, 30 hours at a time with them. Think about the last time you spent 20, 30, 40 hours with somebody like your best friend. You don't do that. So that's number one, is just realize you can have virtual exposure to the people you want to be, whether that's through reading books about them, reading their books. You can watch the videos, the podcasts, the articles that they've written, the interviews that they've done. Become a student through proximity, because you're not going to get access to those people initially. Put in the work, learn everything that you can from them. Because here's the truth, is like, you can learn 90% of the lessons that I have to give you through these videos. So if you're watching this, like, you're already well on your way. You're learning 90% of what I have. The other 10% is incredibly valuable. It will help you accelerate quicker than this content will, because I can give you individualized, personalized feedback on how you can apply the lessons to your context. However, that requires me to put time and energy into learning who you are. And therefore, that is very incredibly expensive. And that's going to be the case with every time you try to level up. The next person that you're trying to get to, it's not a good use of their time to reach down and help you up. So you need to do the heavy lifting of consuming the 90% that you can, figure it out on your own. And then at some point, you're probably going to need to make a leap of faith and an investment into yourself to say, this is uncomfortable for me right now. To pay for the person who can help me get to that next level, it's a stretch. It's uncomfortable. But here's what I believe, is that the transformation occurs at transaction. What that means is when you decide, I can afford to spend $1,000 on a coach, you have now leveled up to this new place of $1,000. That's your baseline. That's what you're willing to spend. When you, for the first time, when you make the decision, I'm going to spend $10,000 on a coach, it's scary. But it's a massive transformation, because now in your mind, your baseline temperature has increased. Now you are the type of person who invests $10,000. Imagine what kind of a person you would be if you could spend $100,000 or $1 million on a coach. Can you imagine how much different you would have to be, how you would think about the world just from leveling up in that way? And those level ups, regardless of whether or not that person can help you, the biggest transformation that I see in people is when they finally make the decision that I'm going to spend this new big scary number investing into myself, because that is what I believe I am worth. And then you systematically do that over time. And that has been, in my experience, one of the quickest ways to level up. And I went through the same thing, like exactly the same thing. I remember a number of years back, it was the very first time I ever spent $10,000 on a coaching program. And I hemmed and I hawed. I went back and forth on it for a couple of weeks. I had conversations with my dad. And one day he just goes, you know what, Anthony, at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter. Like, if you pay for this and it's a scam and the lessons that they teach you aren't even very valuable, because you will have become the person who spends $10,000 on educating themselves. And that right there is well worth the price. And honestly, it was the best advice. And since then, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into personal education and coaching, and I think you should as well. And so that is my recommendation for how you can actually get around the mentors that you want to be. Start with the free content and then escalate to the paid. That is the best way that I know. I hope it serves you well. I'll see you guys in the next episode.